Pearson? Mrs. Pearson? Mr. Thompson? Mrs. Thompson, I believe you're here. So. Ms. Thompson, I think you're muted. Can you?
Rose Thompson, present.
Mr. Bayonne? Am I pronouncing that correctly, Bayonne?
Yes. Yes, sir. I don't see him online yet.
Well, we do have a quorum. What's the pleasure of the board? Do you want to begin the meeting? And this person I know is on the agenda, so I'm sure she is going to be here, Mr. Bayonne. I'm not sure.
With a quorum present, I suggest we proceed.
Yeah, I concur.
We proceed with the meeting, and we have a quorum. The meeting is in session. Do we have any public comments?
No, sir, we do not.
Miss Julia says that he is on.
Yes, he just joined.
Okay. Okay.
I believe Mrs. Pearson is on now too, and Mr. Bayonne. So Mrs. Pearson, do you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Bayonne? I don't see.
It looks like he's connecting to the audio, sir.
I see his name, but he may need a little technical support on this process. Go ahead with the meeting. The first, we do not have any public comments. Review and approval of the minutes of the annual meeting Thursday, June 13th, the special board meeting on Friday, June the 14th, and special call meeting for the functional budget amendment on Friday, the 21st of June. We have any comments? Has everyone had time to review those minutes?
Rose Thompson, I've had time to review the minutes and I have no corrections or suggestions at this time.
I noticed on an earlier version that there was a typo on a date, and I was going to look at that to see where it was. When I looked at the latest version, it looked like it had been corrected, so I don't have any corrections. I'd entertain a motion that we accept the minutes of these three meetings as presented.
Donald Dimick, I move that the minutes for the meetings held on June 13th, 14th, and June 21st be approved as written.
We have a second.
Rose Thompson, second.
Robert Clemens, a yes. Mr. Nemick?
Yes.
Ms. Pearson?
Yes.
Ms. Thompson?
Yes.
Bayonne, are you?
I'm here. Yeah, I can hear you guys now.
Can you hear us? Okay.
Perfect.
So we have a approval of the minutes of these three meetings as presented. Motion passed. Next item on the agenda, information item. Dr. Anderson, I believe this is your introduction on this item.
Yes. Good morning again. I was introduced some time ago to Miss Armendariz, Adriana, and she works with Voluntex, which is a volunteer program, and she has years of experience with the formation of working with foundational educational foundations and forming foundations to help raise money. If you recall, we were working with Miss Julie Porter. However, it didn't work out. And so I reached out to Miss Armendariz, and she and Carrie and I have been working together to draft up a path forward in order to create the educational foundation. And as those of you that have been on the board since I came on, I guess it would be just Ms. Thompson, really. It was part of the 2020 district strategic plan to create an education foundation for RMA. However, as you all are aware, COVID did delay that, and so we picked it back up in 2023. However, we did not make much progress due to, like I say, the partnership that we had with Front Porch. And so we're still trying to get the educational foundation implemented. I still believe that it is a valuable piece of the success of the success for the future of RMA. And so at this time, I would like to introduce Miss Adriana Armendariz with Volantexes. And at this time, you'll see later in the meeting, board will be asking you to approve the contract for us to officially engage in working with Ms. Armendariz. We were able to cancel the contract with Front Porch, so we did not spend any money on that with that organization. So that's a good thing. So Adriana, at this time, I would open the floor to you to just introduce yourself, tell the board a little bit about you and your experience and background, and the path forward for RMA and the Educational Foundation.
Yes, hi everyone. I'm here with you all today. I am really excited about all the work that you all have been reading, your strategic plans and everything, so I can make sure that have for the foundation really is in line with the school district. So first and foremost, oh no, it says my internet is unstable, so y'all stop me if anything gets. First and foremost, I'm an educator as well. I did about in the classroom, so I definitely understand the needs of a school district. Everything just really works together. One of the big goals you have is for teachers. I think that by setting up the foundation, it's really going to help with that, because we want to be able to grants to teachers and all sorts of different things. So after teaching communication and public relations, my passion really is engagement. And beyond that, my other passion is nonprofits. And so through our nonprofit, we're able to support other organizations through nonprofit consulting services. And I've set up numerous nonprofits. I'm excited to announce we just got IRS determination for a nonprofit in Robstown today. So I got that news. Being that it's you're a charter school system and you're serving so many different communities, I do realize, that has its own set of challenges, but it also has a wonderful, unique set of opportunities. So digging into all of those individual communities to bring about a strong foundation. And then the other big piece is, of course, going to be to have a strong memorandum of understanding between the foundation and between the school district, because they're there to work together, right? So that's what makes it different than most other nonprofits, is you have that middle piece working together. So I'm really excited. I've taken on lots of big projects to help the community for organizations like the Salvation Army, HEB in North Texas, which does encompass Killeen. So I'm familiar with some of the areas. I grew up in the Lubbock area, so I've been, doing my diligence, trying to check out all the different communities that you serve, because the number one piece is going to be to recruit a strong and diverse board that's going to work collectively together within themselves, but also with you guys, right? So I'm really excited. I think we have a strong plan. Carrie and I have been in constant communication. And like I said, you can see on my background, I did win a research writing award. I'm a researcher. I've already been looking to see what are all the other education foundations doing and how can we use what they're doing to better impact the goals and the visions that you guys have. The other thing I just want y'all to know is I'm in this for the long haul. I believe in what you're doing. I have an educator's heart, so I kind of, you know, I get some of the things that that entails. And so I think any recommendations y'all have, any notes you have, any follow-ups you have, any candidates you have, I will be the one that would be following up with them, putting them through a vetting process because I want to make sure it's a good match. So if there's any of that you want to push my way once we start the process, I'm happy to take that from you guys and keep that ball rolling.
Thank you. Might the board have any questions for Adriana? I know Ms. Pearson can vouch on her abilities and skills. Ms. Pearson, did you have anything that you'd like to share with the board, or if there's any questions from the board?
If not, then we'll move on to the next agenda item.
Sorry, hold on one second. I was on mute. I
Okay.
apologize. Thank you, Adriana, for your introduction. No, definitely. Adriana has done a lot for the community here in Corpus Christi. And so I definitely see that it's going to be a really good match. But Adriana, I do have a question for you. As far as the timeline of putting together a board, what does that look like? Or putting together a foundation, let's start with that.
Okay, so traditionally, anytime I file a nonprofit, it can take anywhere from 6 to 8 weeks, but that's in the event that people already have their board members in place. So the board member recruitment component, it's a little bit undetermined. Once everything does get approved, it's in there that Carrie and I are going to work together to develop a tighter timeline, because recruitment is just kind of like a variable factor, but we want to really take 6 months to really get that going. Of course, in order to file, we'll have to get the bylaws as well as the MOU approved as well. So however long those processes take, that also will impact the timeline, but I do want to make sure we are potentially able to help meet the deadline you have set out in your strategic plan to really get that going, which I think was 2026, I believe is what you have in there. But so we're going to work really diligently, and like I said, we're going to come back with an updated timeline to really help define that. But like I said, we filed that nonprofit for Robstown this summer, and they already got their status this summer. But again, that's when you have all your members set up and things like that. So one thing we can do, Mirza, is if we can identify those first 3 individuals, we can go ahead and file, and then we can continue to expand the search to really round out the board if that's a route that we feel we want to take. That could be potentially ideal, so that we can already begin any kind of fundraising type of things. We could already begin working on that in tandem with the search. But I do feel it is very important to have, just as you guys have, a pretty wide, diverse board. So those are the 2 options.
All right. And as far as your vision for the board, can you kind of tell me what it is that you're seeking and what ideally you would like to see on the board?
Yeah, for sure. So whenever I'm going to go out and be recruiting, I do intend to make some different community visits, because I have always felt that personal meetings and personal introductions and being able to talk with some of your campuses and to see what are their local connections, right? Well, who do they know in Lubbock? Who do they know in Killeen that might be a good fit? We might find, and then being very intentional about attending some community events there just to meet more and more people, as well as meeting people through LinkedIn. But at the end of the day, I use what we call a board member matrix, and y'all are going to be able to have that and keep that and use it if you ever need to use it for anything else. But it really looks at a diverse background in terms of their professions, right? So we can make sure we are having some expertise from legal, from accounting, from marketing, from different sectors, so that we can really get their expertise to help us grow the board. And of course, at the end of the day, they will be signing a board commitment letter outlining their expectations, which will include some form of either personal donations or commitments for the types of donations they intend to pursue to bring to the foundation. So definitely, you know, whether they're more skilled in creating connections that I can follow up for through the foundation and follow up with those introductions to get those donations, or doing some training with them as well on how to secure those donations for the benefit of the foundation. I'm also going to go do that. So anybody that has that talent where they're just really passionate about the work that y'all do and really crafting that message to them so that I can make sure, you know, they're in it for the right reasons. They understand the work you do is a little different, right, than traditional school districts, right? I want to make sure that they understand that so they can communicate the message and really get the word out to those local communities and their connections so that they can support the foundation and support the school district.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions, comments?
I understand that you want us to be actively involved in seeking. So if you had some guidelines that you could send to us about, you know, possible people and things to look for, I would appreciate that.
Absolutely.
Other comments?
If I may ask, you know, y'all are a wide, diverse group yourselves. Maybe if just one or two people want to tell me, you know, what drew you to serve on this board, and you know, maybe how did you get approached on joining this board? I'd love to know that, just for a little bit of more information on you guys.
I am Trisha Martinez, and I saw this meeting posted up in Fort Worth. I had a student go to your school. He was my son, and I'm not really sure if this is where I'm supposed to be, but he hasn't gotten his diploma.
Ma'am, Ms. Martinez,
Yes.
If you could, you're trying to get your son's diploma?
Yes.
And Jennifer,
this is
if you would take Ms. Martinez's information, and
okay.
we will reach out to you and call you and help you with that process, Ms. Martinez. Would that be okay?
Yes, thank you so much.
Hold on just a moment. Jennifer.
Yes, Ms. Martinez, I'm going to send you a message here via Zoom. If you could provide me with your contact information, and then we will definitely reach out to you, okay?
Okay, thank
and
you
I
so
promise
much.
you, someone will be in touch today, Ms. Martinez. Our meeting should be over by noon, and I promise you we will be in touch with you immediately after.
So much.
All right, thank you.
Any other comments on the presentation by Mrs. Armendariz?
Yeah, so I just wanted to find out, you know, a little bit about why y'all do what you do, because I want to look for some like-minded individuals. So if there was one or two people who just wanted to share a tidbit, I would greatly appreciate it.
I volunteer Ms. Thompson.
Ms. Amadeus, I'm Rose Thompson, and I have been in the Killeen community for over 50 years. I have a strong connection with the city council, and when I was a director of a school for over a decade. And because of my love for working with parents and students and the community, that's why I'm on the board.
Thank you so much, Ms. Thompson. I love that. I definitely think, obviously, you know, anybody that's former educator types is always a good fit. I think we also want to use this as an opportunity to really round out and start developing the alumni network. I think it was always a great idea to have at least one alumni seat, potentially one parent seat. You know, that may not necessarily generate a ton of funds, but I think those voices and those interactions and participation are important. So definitely, you know, I think we're all you can tell from my background, I love learning. I just keep learning and learning and learning. And I've been learning a lot more for the benefit of this project. I do have extensive experience setting up the nonprofits, but I want to make sure for the foundation that it has a longevity. So I am going to be creating a strategic plan that will be able to be viewed and reviewed, because it does take a lot of components. And again, at the end of the day, you know, it's only going to impact the work you do more when there's more funding available that's unrestricted. Traditionally, you know, a lot of the funding that's available comes with a lot of restrictions. So we really want to try and seek out those opportunities for unrestricted funds to aid the schools with the scholarships, with teacher projects, whatever it is y'all feel are top priority. Those are just some of the things Dr. Anderson has shared that he wants the foundation to support. So thank you for that.
And then Mr. Julius, I think it'll be a good time. He's our newest board member too. So I would like to introduce Mr. Julius, and then if he can also give us a little bit about why he joined, would be great.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, I've been on the board for a couple of weeks now, not as long as the rest of the other board members. It's a pleasure, Adriana, to have you here. I'm in Houston, Texas. I've been here for 10 years now. Houston is home. I also have a nonprofit myself that focuses on young men of color as far as college readiness preparation is concerned. The reason why I joined the board is because they have they have a reach across the entire state. And to be able to impact the lives of young students, young scholars in the state is very important to me. Pouring into them, providing an excellent academic program for them, creating an environment for them that allows them to thrive and be successful outside of school and life in general is very important. And so also joining an experienced board where you know, just learning from them, being a student of the game, and coming in and adding value where I can add as a new member of the board is important. But everything I do is going to be centered around the students, number one, because that's why we're here.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much, Julius, and welcome. And what is the name of your nonprofit?
Yeah, it's called Mission Transformation, and so we've been in existence for 9 years now, and so we partner with the Houston Texans and Microsoft, a couple local agencies as well to do again college readiness. We have two programs. One starts 11 to 15. It's called Mission Ignite. The other is the Fellowship Initiative, again, which is the college readiness program where we provide tutorials, take them on college tours. We're getting ready to go to North Carolina on a camping trip before school starts. And so it's all geared around college readiness to prepare them for college. And again, I grew up in income-based housing myself, first generation college student. So, you know, programs that I was a part of, I wanted just to bring that to the city of Houston, and I feel like I needed the resources. And so, again, being a part of this board and doing this work aligns with that mission and vision that I have for those kids.
What an amazing story. Thank you so much. I really love that. Most of my work has been with Title I students when I was an educator as well. So I know it was very eye-opening. My first year teaching, they took us on a bus tour of the homes of the students we would be serving. And so, you know, it's just, it really centers you, and to get them from that lifestyle into college readiness, I mean, that's a big jump, right?
It's
And
a
so,
massive jump. It's a lot of work.
Well, Miss
yeah.
Miss Armendariz, we certainly appreciate you joining us this morning. Is there anything else?
No, I think that's it. I just want to let you all know that there is probably 1,000 questions that come up regarding nonprofit work and getting things set up. And so that's where we just put the, you know, it's going to be an umbrella. It's a catch-all. So whatever comes up, you know, Dr. Anderson and Carrie are going to be able to come to me, and we're going to figure out the answers to those numerous questions that might arise during the process. So that's what the consulting piece is, an umbrella. So we're going to catch it all and do the right steps. But as far as the nonprofit formation, yes, like that, those steps are pretty linear. But thank you all so much for having me. I really enjoyed meeting you all.
Well, thank you. And at some point, you know, you'll have an opportunity to visit with the board directly, and we will be able to do some brainstorming and, you know, as part of this whole process. So
Can't wait. Thank you.
thank you. Mr. Clemens, I noticed that Kelly is available and on right now. And so I propose, if it's okay with you, sir, that we go into closed session so that we can let Kelly get on with her day, if the board doesn't object.
Sounds good to me. Time is it is 10:26. We will move into closed session now. Off mute. It's 11. It's 11:11. We're returning from executive session. We got our 20 participants back, so all board members are back. We have a quorum. Entertain a motion to cover the information.
Donald. Sure, Donald Nemick. Number one, I move that the board authorize the superintendent or his designee to negotiate a resolution with Gonzalez Contractors, LLC on the Midland Phase 1 project as discussed in closed session, and further authorize the superintendent to execute a settlement agreement in a form approved by legal counsel to resolve the matter as discussed in closed session, and to report back on the negotiations and any resulting agreement to the board.
I second that motion. I second that motion.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call, Mr. Nemick.
I vote yes.
Ms. Pearson.
Here's the Pearson, yes.
Ms. Thompson.
Yes.
Mr. Bound.
Yes.
Robert Clemens, yes. Motion carries. Do we have any other action resulting from our executive session?
Yes, second motion, I move to authorize the superintendent to reevaluate and adjust the salary expense issues discussed in closed session to better align salaries according to our organizational chart.
We have a second. We'll second the motion. We have a motion and a second that we authorize the superintendent to adjust salaries to be better aligned with the organizational chart. Mr. Nemick.
I vote yes.
Ms. Pearson.
Yes.
Ms. Thompson.
Yes.
Mr. Bound.
Yes.
Robert Clemens, yes. Motion carries. I think on our agenda we were information items to number B, Superintendent's report. Dr. Anderson.
Good. At this time, I would like to just share with the board some things that are going on. As you know, we don't have any enrollment or retention numbers or anything like that, as we shared those things with you at the annual board meeting. However, there are some things that I would like to share with the board as far as district updates. The 2024 RMA convocation. The dates for that will be August 5th, that Monday through August 9th. The board is invited to any sessions. Dr. Givens will send links, Jennifer will send the link out to all board members if you'd like to pop into any sessions just to kind of get a glimpse of what's going on in the district and what staff will be learning. The convocation week is the PD week, where we'll have a lot of good trainings and on benefits, academic things, HR issues, payroll, technology, safety, school safety, and all of those things. Now, on August the 5th, that Monday, is usually when I will do the annual State of the District address to the entire district, and this will be a virtual meeting this year, a virtual convocation rather this year. But I also welcome the board to join and have greetings, or if you would like to have some words, please do that. If you just want to get on and say, hey, we wish you a successful school year, or if you would like to give some deeper words of encouragement, just let Jennifer know, and we will communicate that to Dr. Givens so that we can plan accordingly for you guys. So please let us know. And again, that date for the kickoff and the speeches and welcomes and all of that will be Monday, August the 5th. Any questions about convocation?
Do you have a time for that August 5th meeting?
9 o'clock, is that correct, Jennifer, Dr. Givens? It starts at 9 o'clock, correct?
Yes, it'll be starting at 9.
Okay. So we invite you to join us. I think it would be great for the district to see all board members in cohesiveness and to support them on that particular that particular day for the school year. The other item I wanted to share was the Texas Public Charter School Conference. That conference will, excuse me, that conference will be Sunday, will start Sunday, October 20th. Registration will open at 4:00 p.m. And and there's a welcome reception at 6:00 p.m. on Sunday, October 20th. And it will go through, it will go all the way until Wednesday. Well, excuse me, actually, it'll, yes, till Wednesday at noon, 12:30, if you would like to join us Wednesday, October 23rd. That will be in San Antonio at the, what is that called, Carl? The Marriott out there,
It's the JW Marriott.
Yes, the JW Marriott. It's the resort, very nice resort. I think that's where we have the best charter conference, because it's all secluded and all of the receptions and happy hour events are all right there. So you don't have to get in cars or be trying to travel far. So if you're interested, board, we encourage you to reach out to Jennifer. Well, Jennifer will reach out to you, excuse me, and to let you know, because Jennifer, you want to talk a little bit about that and the date that we have to cancel if they're not going and all of that.
Yes, sir. So we actually already have the board registered because we did our group registration. To be able to receive a full % refund, we do need to make those edits by August 1st, which is Wednesday coming up. So I will send out an email, or if you would like to tell me, but I will send out an email with all the information. And if you can just confirm if you would be available or not, and we can go ahead and continue from there.
So please let us know, of course. And as I get any event event opportunities for, I will send those. Jennifer will send those out to the board, and you feel free to register for those. They have a lot of social events and nature at the conference, and so we'll be sharing those reception opportunities with the board as well. Any questions about TPCSA? And for those that are new to the board, this is the opportunity for you to get a lot of your board hours. You're required to have a certain number of board hours each year. You have 1 year to get the board hours. However, TPCSA is the biggest opportunity for you to do it in one event. And so we encourage all that can to attend. Summer school enrollment. Jennifer, if you'd scroll down, I just want to share with the board our summer school enrollment. And Dr. Givens, would you please talk about the enrollment for summer school and what went on there, just to give the board an update, please?
Good morning, everyone. Hey, can you see? Okay, hi there. Yes, this year we did something different. Again, due to budgetary reasons, we ended up having a virtual summer school in which we employed some of our top teachers to provide the EOC instruction. And then we had all of our students that were that had Edgenuity classes that they either failed or needed to complete. So that's because we don't allow any new or novel credits for summer school, because it's only at the most 3 weeks. So so this year we had a total of 366 students participating in our summer school. The breakdown you can see by campus of how many students participated in the Texas College Bridge, which is of course our college prep course, which gives us impacts our CCMR. And then we had the Edgenuity, which is the vast majority of Edgenuity classes are elective courses. So and then the EOC prep, those are the students that logged in to prepare for the June administration of the STAR test. Any questions about summer school?
I think that was a smart move to have the virtual summer school. That was very good. Smart
Okay.
move. Smart move.
Because we looked at last year's attendance and it was so sparse with the EOC prep. And that way we just used 4 teachers to support the whole district rather than 4 teachers per district, which is what we normally do. I mean, 4 teachers per campus. So we saved a lot of money.
Very cost effective. Thank you.
Any other questions for Dr. Givens about summer school? All right. Then at this time, I'm going to ask Carrie to come on.
Excuse me, back to Dr. Givens.
Yeah.
Did you kind of do a roll-up of completion rates opposed to when they were in-house? Just an overview.
For summer school?
Yeah, were we more successful with the online summer school than before we had not the money?
Well,
but the
I would
complete-
say we were more effective. Like I said before, especially with the EOC prep, our numbers are about the same of how many students showed up for prep. But if
Okay.
you had, you know, what is it? All those teachers, over 40 teachers for 62 students would have been the issue. As far as our EOC scores, unfortunately, they went down, I think, by what, 2%, Jim, over last year? Is he on?
For the summer school, is that what we're talking? We're still talking.
Or
Yes,
we talked about EOC.
A little bit more than that. I think it was closer to 5% decrease.
Yeah.
But that is our lowest participation is the summer
Yeah.
administration. So
Yes. And there's ways with summer school and the way it impacts us, because they don't, how do you put this? It's a double dip, so it doesn't hurt us if they fail, if they've already failed. You see what I'm saying? As far as course completion, we did really well, because that's how many students actually completed courses in Edgenuity and Texas College Bridge. So though they finished up, they either improved and they recaptured a course that they had failed, or they completed a course that was an incomplete, because we don't roll over incompletes to the next school year. So that part is very successful, completing courses and getting recapturing credits.
Thank you.
Any other questions about summer school from Dr. Gibbons? All right. At this time, I wanted to share, I asked Carrie to put together a presentation of where we are for our 2024 enrollment. We have been meeting to discuss initiatives and things. And you'll hear Ms. Pearson in just a moment. She'll be presenting her presentation on retention, enrollment, and recruitment. And so at this time, Carrie, would you talk about where we are and what the expected number is at this point in time and what we're doing to continue to build upon this?
Yes, sir. Good morning, board. The numbers that I have for you here, we'll start at the top. We've had 1,751 students that have filled out an application since May of this year. And we're averaging around 35 applications per day that we are receiving. Now, the 1206 is the total number of students that have been rolled over from last school year. We had 500 applications that were completed and in process, and then 35 applications waiting to be approved. Now, this number was as of the 23rd, so every day our number increases when it comes to the applications that are processed and the ones that are waiting to be approved. The one thing that's important to point out is the day that we did these numbers was the day that Ascender actually rolled to the new school year. And so that's why we had the number of applications that were completed and in the waiting phase, because we did not have the new school year open in our software for the district. So I'm quite sure that the ones waiting to be processed have been moved over at this point. Every year there's an expected number of what they refer to as no-show students. And Sylvia, I spoke to Sylvia in depth when I was creating this report, and she said to plan on between 100 and 125 of no-shows. So we're looking at 1741 as of the 23rd, but it is our hope and anticipation that that number will be higher. And we have really amped up our engagement and our community information. There's a lot of different things that we're working on in order to increase enrollment and to increase our visibility as a district, along with forming relationships with those that have the ability to refer to us. We're doing mailers. I've been in contact with some of our newspapers. We're doing a press release that talks about all the things that RMA is offering to try to highlight our school district. We've also got a software that's going to be installed on our website that will capture phone numbers and demographic information along with names and numbers of prospective students so that we can call them back to ask if there's anything else we can do to assist with them filling out one of our applications. So we are covering every single area and are taking the information that was shared through our enrollment task force and implementing that across the board. And we anticipate our enrollment to be much higher this year than it was last year. And I think that's it for me, unless anyone has any questions.
I do. Carrie, so let me understand really quick. The 1751, that is including students that are being rolled over from last year, basically, into it as well, or are these all new applications?
Those are all new applications.
Okay, so then who is following up on those other applications that are pending, basically, or that has showed interest?
That would be something that is at the campus level that is handled by the registrars. So
Okay,
they
and
receive all of that information as they vet each student to make sure that they're within our boundaries, to make sure that they have everything turned in.
okay. And Dr. Anderson, do we know how they accomplished this at the school level?
Have they accomplished following up?
Mm-hmm.
Well, usually And Sylvia can talk a little bit. Sylvia, you on, Jim? Sylvia, Jim, it's up to them to call those students and try and get them to come into the campus. Jim, or do you know any other things that they're doing?
It's the campus staff, so the principals, the counselors, registrars. So if a
Registrars.
student does or a parent shows interest, but they don't actually complete the full application, then the campus staff will attempt to contact them and let them know that we're interested in their student enrolling with us and want to follow up and ensure that you have all what you need to make a decision.
And they get emails, right, Jim, that
Yes, the parents
something's
do.
missing, like
Yes,
there's automatic emails, or either the registrar will email and say, hey, we still need, proof of residency or whatever it may be. And sometimes the parents will respond and sometimes they don't, but usually the process is to follow up and say, hey, these are the missing documents. If it sits so long, then usually they will reach out to the parent and say, hey, this is, Miss Ring with RMA Fort Worth, and I was just calling because you had expressed interest. So that's usually how the process goes.
Okay, thank you.
And can someone remind us what the enrollment was for last year compared to this 1741 number?
Jim, what was the enrollment? Now, the enrollment is not what gets us. Usually it's the ADA that kills us. But Jim, can you share that? What was it, at 16 something at the end of last year, right? Enrollment?
At the end of this year, yes. I think it was.
But ADA had gotten down to
1,500.
like 1172 or somewhere in there, Mr. Nemick. So
I'm trying to pull up Sylvia's attendance report. I will open.
Yeah, I wanna
think
say it was what?
enrollment was around 1,500 though.
it was low 1,600. I thought it got like did it drop down to 15? I know it was the end.
I'm almost there, sorry.
I have it.
Attendance report 23-24. It was at the end of the school year, enrollment was 1,450.
Okay, I know that 16 was before the end of the year. When were we then? In March? Somewhere in there.
On average, it was 1,429 on average, ADA 1124.
Yeah, I know.
Make sure I'm
ADA
looking at
was 11.
23-24. Yes, I am.
Okay, thank you.
I believe that we don't really know what these numbers are going to be until the first day or the first week of school. I believe the no-show number, the 100 to 125, is a number that is applied to the 1206 who were rolled over from last year. They were in school the last day of last year, but we don't really know. And I'm sure that's a good number, 100, 125, who we would expect to come back since they were here on the last day of school. They were, say, a 10th grader, 11th grader, but some won't. And the 1751 are the number who applied. But I believe in prior years, it's kind of unknown how many who applied who will actually show up on the first day or the first week of school. So.
All right, and so we're speaking about two different things. I mean, one is enrollment, which will be at the beginning of every semester, and then final number basically is the retention number of those kids that were actually enrolled at the end. And so I'm kind of looking at the gap, and I just want to make sure that I don't know. I mean, I've been speaking with working on this actually, but how increasing the enrollment basically kind of increases our chances to retain them as well. And that's really what we need to strive and go for, by making sure that these applications that are kind of in the air of interest are actually being followed up and touched on.
Yes.
I have on here for the no-show students. I think there should be strong communication and visibility of how we are communicating with them to find out the exact status. And I'd like to see a report of the list of those students, whether it be 120, 125, whatever that is. I'd like to see who their students are and what follow-up action has been taken on the no-show students.
And that's one of the things, Ms. Thompson, too, that I've had discussions with Dr. Givens because we have our principal counselor retreat coming up next week. And I shared my concern that I think sometimes our campuses wait to snapshot day to try and follow up with
For the
those
no-show.
no-shows. And
Right.
I want that done much
Immediately.
sooner. As you've said, you know, that needs to be done immediately and consistently.
Mhm.
All right, I'm with Ms. Thompson on that one. It's actually a report of how are we following up with those no-shows? What is the, you know, how often are we touching base? How are we following up with them? I think it's important to kind of see.
Just to give a few numbers, as of August 18th of 2023, at the beginning of last year, our average enrollment was 1155. And then if we go to the end of September, so September 22nd of 23, the average enrollment was 1507. So that just gives you a benchmark on where we were last year and what we're looking at going in with this year.
Thank you. 1507. Okay. Okay. And I think the bottom line on this discussion is we need to have data to show how we came to this conclusion and what we did to eliminate and correct some of the issues.
Yes, ma'am.
And we can bring that to the next board meeting in September. Once school has started, we'll carry, if we can work together and get some hard data and what, you know, who were the no-shows. And Jim and Sylvia, again, we'll have some discussions about the follow-up and having the campuses submit documentation.
And just real quick, it is part of the process. We have a leader log, so when students do withdraw, they are identified on the leader log. At the beginning of the year, all the no-show students are on that log. And so it is the campus and the campus staff that begin trying to contact them and attempt to have them re-enrolled in school.
And we just, like Ms. Thompson's saying, you know, some data and some that, you know, what's been done to follow up. And so we need to come up with that. And I think documenting that so that we have that information.
Just have a comment log as to what we did for the follow-up purpose.
Who and what was done. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions for Carrie? Our goal is to have 2,000 students. You know, I've went back and forth. I use the analogy of a bucket. Carl's heard this before. Told him the bucket has a hole in it, and for so many years, you know, it's been, you know, water dripping out, and we've just been refilling the bucket to keep it full, and it's getting harder to refill the bucket. And so you have to look at the hole, and so then the focus has become the hole in the bucket. And so we you know, we appreciate Ms. Pearson, and we appreciate Mr. Marquez and the others that Dr. Bourgeois working with us. So we are taking this very seriously to try and get these numbers up. Ms. Pearson, then I will turn it over to you and for your presentation on enrollment and retention.
All right, thank you very much. And really quickly, so based on the last meeting that we had and Mr. Marquez, I've spoken to Mr. Marquez a little bit more about you know, his findings and basically the experience and how to move forward basically. And there's two topics, right? It's one of them is enrollment, the other one is retention. So there's a couple of things on there. One of the things that we want to go ahead and discuss and kind of promote is how we're promoting and talking about our RMA. And I think we know what it is that us having kind of a little refresher, because it's really just about owning RMA and having a DNA basically that we're proud to be RMA. Excuse me. So I have my background noise here. So I kind of want to give you kind of a really quick synopsis of what I'm doing here locally and promoting RMA. So really quick, one of the things that I kind of go in when I go into group meetings or into coffee talks or things of that nature, community events, and presenting RMA. A lot of the things here locally that we find here in Corpus Christi is that only a selected few know what RMA actually is. And so it's actually a benefit for us at this current moment because we have a way to kind of change what RMA is going into the future, right? So I apologize. One of the things that I say is I start off with, RMA is located. We are a dropout recovery school, known as dropout recovery school. We're located on Staples, and again, the location of where we're at. I do present that it's a public charter school, and we are actually now currently enrolling and kind of giving them the information of the enrollment process of it as well. Now I'm giving them the background of RMA is that RMA is for everyone. Just give me 1 minute. I'm sorry. Let me take care of my dog real quick. Yeah, so I'm sorry, I apologize about that. Yeah, so one of the things is trying to make sure that we pick stories basically from successes that have happened from our schools, right? A lot of the times our students basically don't necessarily thrive in a normal education system. So this is where RMA, which is a 4-hour school day, basically comes into effect. But there's also different graduation options. As you guys know, that RMA has 4 different graduation dates that they can go ahead and graduate throughout the year. And so this is what sets us apart. So kind of understanding what sets us apart as a school or as a district basically is one of the key forms of it. But the other thing is as well is kind of giving reasons as to why kids would benefit from this. So for example, RMA here, Corpus Christi, in my first year, there was a young lady who graduated actually who kept having to drop out of school because of her illness. And so she wasn't thriving in the normal academics in the school system. So RMA did allow her to kind of continue on, with her school system. At the age of 20, basically, she ended up graduating and walking a stage. There is no kid in the world that aspires to drop out. There's no kid in the world that aspires to get a GED. So ability to give that, ability to a student to walk the stage, basically, under whatever circumstances they might be. This is the dream, basically, that we're also trying to create as an RMA, as RMA, but also giving out to our community, giving that ability to know that we understand our students and that we want and thrive and be successful for everyone, basically. So it's important that when we're talking about RMA, that we bring it back to the community and the successes and the stories that are the storytelling portion of it, right? So now going into it, it's a very basic introduction. Right now, one of the focus and the key factors is making sure that we're talking about getting people to know and understand what RMA is, right? So that's basically the strategy. It's year-round engagement, basically, starting with everybody, our admin, our board, our principals, the key stakeholders, our counselors, making sure that every individual are touching base, but also moving forward and being able to talk about RMA. You can go ahead and scoot down, Jennifer. Thank you. So Mr. Marquez did kind of align and put together a kind of an implementation strategy, basically, on times that we should be touching year round and what to do, basically. So for example, between the times between August and September, it is our high time where we are going out into the community and kind of talking about and engagement and advertising and things of that nature. So currently right now, we do have a press release that is going out in which we'll be actually engaging with radios and local markets. Now, it's not going to be the same marketing concepts are not going to be at every school. Let's get that correct. It has to work for that particular community, right? So for example, Corpus Christi might thrive better on radio versus another one might thrive better with having a billboard at a certain location. So just to kind of be very, making sure that our marketing strategy is going to be positioned basically according to that market. Right. But the other portion of it as well is making sure now that at the local level, this is where most of your impact is going to come, is what is being done at the local community or what is being done within the school, basically at that, within that particular school, because there's nobody else who can talk about it better in a school. So while the campus basically, or sorry, the district can talk about it on the masses, basically on the PR aspect of things, we cannot be, the people that sit there and talk to the community itself. So this is where it does become the responsibility of the principals, of, your teachers, of your counselors, basically, to understand. And really, I do want to take a little bit more stress, basically, on making sure that the principals are out there touching to their peers, basically, other principals in the community, other educators in the community, making sure that they're actually visiting and making rapport with their judges in that community as well. That is going to be those most vital portions of it. So whether it's something as simple as once a quarter, going out and making a day out of visiting, it's going to be important. One of the things that I do want to say is that we have to go to them, not necessarily them come to us, right? Because we have to go to them for them to understand who we are, versus us sending out an invitation, oh, come and visit, and then not expecting anybody to come in when they don't know about you. We have to get out there into the community. And it's vital for us to kind of talk about that as well. Can you continue to the next page, Jennifer? All right, so basically now we're going to go ahead and start. We're talking about the marketing strategies, basically, and how we're go ahead and implementing. So I kind of touched base a little bit about that. One press release will be sent out per semester, basically making sure that we are touching with the masses in the press as well. Event management is going to stay at the where I'm suggesting basically that this is going to stay at the school level, making sure that it is promoted through the school, created by the school, and actually implemented by the school, right? And then, of course, media engagements and opportunities will, what happens is basically one of two things. It's making sure that we're working with our communication manager, which is going to be Carrie, but also making sure that you are prepared to know what the conversation is going to be about, and making sure that it's done appropriately as well. It's going to be something that's important as well. So it's always, I'm sure Carrie has a communication strategy in place, but it's always making sure that we go back and understanding how do we engage with media as well. So, but that's pretty much it. The community engagement is going to be your highest report, basically, on making sure that we are talking to our audience and making sure that they're coming to us after us engaging out to them. So the very first step is just really, this is the grassroots efforts, going out there and touching the community, principals to principals, educators to educators, making sure that the principals are actually making rapport with city officials, judges, and things of that nature. And then also the important portion of it is that I believe is it the SLC or SCL, sorry, I got my acronyms incorrect, but making sure that they are SCLs, that's really should stay with working directly with the students and making sure that, they're working with students and parents. But above that, it's going to be, based on, that we're getting the word out there and go down there. And of course, you always have my support and the support of the board as well. So I do recommend also that principals reach out to their local board member in the area and kind of make a rapport with them as well and invite them to the events. It's kind of important as well because they already know community members in the area. And this is basically the best way to kind of move forward, but we have to work together on this. That's it. Thank you.
Questions?
Go ahead. Mr. Clemens?
I just wondered if we had any questions or comments.
I do want to say that I appreciate Ms. Pearson for her involvement in this. We had a good discussion the other day, and she really shed light on the significance of focusing on recruitment and enrollment at the campus level. She really helped me understand that it's not anything that can all be done from the top, that it eventually has to be a strong, I call it grassroots, marketing, recruitment, and enrollment process. And I think she said it best. She said the principals know they need to get kids, but I don't think they really know the importance of the role that they play in getting them. Is that correct, Ms. Pearson? Did I summarize?
That's correct. It's vitally important, first of all, that we reach out to you know, right now we're kind of, what I'm seeing is that we're just kind of waiting for kids to come and enroll, basically based on what their needs are or based on recommendation of other students. And that's really who's recommending them right now is other students and parents is what we're finding. But it's not necessarily so much of, okay, well, we went into the community and we spoke to X, Y, and Z judge, or we spoke to city council member, so on and so forth. The first thing is you should know who your council member for your district is. That's, I mean, and you should have a tight relationship and relationship with them, no matter what. That's number one. But the other thing too is that there's not enough information out there about what RMA is, and it doesn't have to be a negative connotation. It could be very positive as to many elements of what RMA does and what it offers, and giving that ability to bring in also, you know, new students into the area and kind of extending that that demographic too. But our principals need to be a little more, very bluntly, I mean, very active in the community.
I was reading over your report a couple of days ago, and what it brought to mind, to me anyway, is that we've talked about before that we have more and more competition. We have ISDs that have established dropout recovery programs that are very active, and they have found out that if their students are going to a charter school, any kind of charter school, it's butts in the seats, it's dollars going out of their district. But I feel like in our 9 or 10 areas, we have anywhere probably from 8 to 15 or 20 different districts in each area that we serve. And I would dare say that some of those districts do not have dropout recovery programs and do not work as hard to retain their students as others do. I never had thought about that necessarily, but I think somebody might take the time to look at Lubbock and see if the districts that are in the Lubbock service area, how many of them have really effective dropout recovery programs that we have a hard time competing with, and how many don't have that program. And we might call on them to say, you know, if they lose students and they can't account for them, then they get dinged by TEA. So maybe those districts who do not have dropout recovery programs that are effective might be ones that we target to try to enroll students or get their dropouts. We can work with them. We cannot work so well with those who have their own program, because they're not going to necessarily want to send students from their dropout recovery program to ours. So,
and they're growing rapidly. You mentioned Lubbock, Mr. Clemens. When I was in Lubbock a couple of months ago, I remember Ms. White sharing with me that now Levelland, I believe, has opened up the DRS, and so competition is getting tighter. And like you say, the whole thing is we've got to scout those schools that don't have them, you know. And but it's getting tougher and tougher to find them.
Yeah, I mean, here in Corpus Christi, for example, there's 3 other dropout recovery schools. It is kind of competitive. Not to mention the IECs are always willing to keep them. But I'll tell you what it comes down to. It comes down to building that relationship. Because even like, for example, you have principals in the middle school level or even in the high school level that are, they want to do for the students, irregardless of the politics or irregardless of what it is. So touching base and making sure that we're talking from the heart, first of all, and believing in what RMA is and what it can bring to it is going to make a difference as well. And I think somebody touched base on this, but it's really about how we communicate it.
Any other comments? Appreciate your presentation. I thought it was excellent.
Thank you very much.
Tammy?
Just one more thing before we jump, Mr. Clemens. I had one more item. Jennifer, can you go back up? Two things. One, the executive retreat. I did want the board to know that the principals and the councils are meeting on that Tuesday, the 30th. Is that correct, Dr. Givens? That Tuesday through Thursday, the 30th through the 2nd of August, correct?
Yes, that is correct, sir.
Okay. And so I was out sick for several days, and so we had to reschedule the executive retreat And so that executive retreat will be taking place on that Monday and Tuesday. And so the board will, the executive team will be working to strategically plan and look at everything that's going to be rolling out and taking shape in the district to make sure we have everything tight and tidy to make it operate as effectively as possible. And then also the board retreat, again, we're trying to schedule that. Our board meeting is on the 27th, and so I believe we're trying to. Jennifer, tell me if I'm off of my calendar, but we're trying to schedule the board retreat for the board members that we talked about in June for the 25th and 26th. Is that correct, Jennifer?
The 26th, sir. We decided on one full day.
Okay, the 26th. Okay.
Yes, it would be Thursday.
Okay, and then the board meeting on that Friday. And
Right.
so that will take place in Fort Worth. We're trying to put you guys down in the stockyard so that you can get out. I know Ms. Pearson's anxious to buy a cowboy hat and some boots. And so her and Ms. Thompson and ride the bull. Isn't it a bull down there, Mr. Nemick, a bucking bull or something down there?
There is, actually.
Yeah, and Mr.
Yeah,
Clemens, I know he's anxious to try that as well. So
And this is September 26 and 27?
Yes,
yeah,
ma'am, yes.
26th and 27th. So we decided on one day. Jennifer, you said?
We did. We decided on one full day, and then we would have the board follow up the next day.
Okay.
Okay. And Mr. Clemens and I will be working closely on the board agenda, on the strategic plan agenda for the board. And so I encourage any board members that have any suggestions or things that they would like to see on the agenda. And again, remember, this is strategic planning. So we want to keep it, strategic items that not so much just, to discuss things, but that things that we want to strategically look at. And so if you have anything that you would like to see, please send it to Jennifer, but copy Mr. Clemens if you would, because I would like for him to be in the know of what the board is asking to be added to the agenda. So when he and I speak sometime in August, we will have these items and we can and he'll know if he has any questions, he can have already reached out to the board members before our meeting to finalize the agenda. Is that okay, Mr. Clemens?
Sounds good.
Okay. All right. Then that is all that I have. Thank you all.
Tammy, I think you're next up on the agenda.
Tammy's out this week, and so she has done a recorded presentation. And so Jennifer will present that or play that recording at this time.
And please let me know if you have any trouble hearing the audio.
Good morning. Today we'll be reviewing the 23-24 year-to-date financials. These financials were calculated around July the 10th when we started pulling the reports for this presentation. We are currently still receiving payables for dates of service within the 23-24 fiscal year, and we will continue to record those transactions up through the time that we provide our financial auditors with the final trial balance. So looking at the average student enrollment chart, we see that the enrollment data by month for the past 3 years is indicated here. And as of this report, the highest date in 23-24 was 1,508 students for the month of August. If we compare this to 22-23, we can see that the enrollment was as high as 1,653 students in the month of September. Looking at the average daily attendance chart on the following page, we saw higher attendance rates for this year over last, with the month of August being our highest at 85% attendance. The budgeted revenues versus summary of finance chart represents our foundation school payment revenue that we receive versus the amount that we budgeted. We budgeted $17.25 million, and we ended 23-24 with revenues of $13.38 million based on our average daily attendance. That final column for June reflects the approved amendment that the board approved last month, bringing our budgeted revenues to be aligned with actual revenues at 13.5 million. On the following page, we're showing 123 days cash on hand. As a reminder, this is calculated by breaking out our annual expenses into a daily amount and then dividing that amount by the cash balance at the end of the month. So if operations were to cease today and we no longer received any funding from the state, we would be able to continue to pay our current expenses for 123 more days. The cash balance at the end of June is reflected on our balance sheet, but for the purposes of this slide, I wanted to let you know that our cash balance was based on an amount of $5.6 million. The administrative cost ratio chart shows that we would receive a score of 0.097 for these financial statements. TEA has adjusted this indicator to compare the administrative costs in function 21 and 41 to our overall district costs. This is a change from comparing those same functions to just academic costs, which were recorded in functions 11, 13, and 31. That score would give us 10 points for this indicator. When we're looking at actual average daily attendance to projected average daily attendance, we can see that we have been under that estimation for this year. This school year, by the end of the year, we were at 6% under what we estimated that we would be for attendance this year. Our estimated charter first rating is 90 out of 100. We are missing points on our budgeted revenues to actual revenues, which were off by more than 10% from the amount we reported in October at our snapshot date. That is indicator 10 on this chart, where you can see we're missing points for that one indicator. Looking at our income statement, we are at or under expensed for all of our functional spending. The functional amendment that was approved by the board last month was estimated at a deficit of $680,000, and currently our deficit is $510,000 going into the audit. We should be very close to recognizing all of the expenditures for this year. I don't expect any more large swings from the numbers where we are here. There may just be a couple of invoices that still continue to trickle in, but I don't expect them to be anything large. Our balance sheet, which is a reflection of the organization's assets and liabilities, is shown here. We can see from this slide that our net assets is reflected at the bottom of the page, and that number is 15 million. This number represents 374 days of current operating expenses. And our cash balance reflected on this page is 5.6 million as well. The last item in my presentation is our summary of finance, which is dated on June the 11th. We have recorded all of our revenues according to this report and all of the latest information that was updated by TEA. Thank you for your time today and have a good day.
Well,
Our next, go ahead, Dr. Anderson.
I was going to say, if I would ask if you have any questions, but I don't think that would work too well at this point. But if you have any questions that we can answer, we will definitely try.
No comments from my end.
Next item on the agenda is facilities update. Carl?
Yes. Okay, we'll go to the slides, Jennifer. So on our Amarillo project, we have completed our demolition work and we now have a blank canvas to work with there. We're currently working with Frost Bank on the final financing for that project. We were delayed a little bit with the financing because the city of Amarillo requested some additional fire safety measures be added, which the architect did. We had to then go back to the contractor who bid the project, as well as our cost estimators, and also that triggered Frostbank to redo their estimates. So we're running just a little bit behind on that. However, as soon as that is completed within the next 2 to 3 weeks, we have our contract ready to sign with Tri-State Contractors. And we'll be going over this a little bit further as an action item. We have a resolution from Frost that needs to be covered. So the next 3 slides are just some images of the project as it's designed. Go ahead to the next one. The gray area there, I will just make you aware that we do have to have a storm shelter built into this project because of its location in Amarillo, and so that will be something that we at RMA have not had to do before, but we will have to do this time around. So go ahead, next slide, and the following one. So at our Fort Worth location, we've completed our as-built, and the architect has completed the programming for space allocations, and now the architect is working on the CDs for this project, which we'll have shortly. So the next 4 slides, Jennifer, if you could scroll through those, are just some images of the project and kind of where we're at this moment. Go ahead, one more. And then the next slide, we have something new that's popped up this time around. We are in need of doing some roof repairs at our Lubbock campus. There was a big storm that hit not too long ago, and we received some heavy water damage in Lubbock. So we're working with the insurance company, and we've already got contractors lined up to get this repaired. So as soon as we get the insurance company to finish up their work, we can start repairs on this project. The next slide actually shows, let's see. No, that's not it. So I think we missed a slide there. But anyway, I'll forward it to the board. There's some images of the roof and the standing water we have on there right now. So go down one more. One more. And so with our ESSER HVAC project, just to let the board know that we've been working on this for a couple of years now. All the equipment has been ordered. However, there are still some delays with receiving HVAC equipment. All of that equipment is expected to be delivered before October the 1st. Everything has been encumbered. All of the costs have been encumbered. So we needed to do that by November 30th, but we did that, probably a year and a half ago. And then, like I said, we'll look to be completed with that project on October 1st. All the equipment should be delivered by then. And our last date for completion would be, our drop dead date is 12/29/24. So that's where we're at with that project. And that kind of wraps up where we're kind of the big ticket things. I will say along the lines of the Lubbock roof, with the heat that we had last year, we have had, and also the weather, we've had quite a bit of roof wear and tear. So I would expect we're going to have additional problems with roofing going forward. And that's it for my presentation.
Any questions, comments? Carl, do you have any field yet on this roof work due to storms how's the insurance gonna handle that? Are they gonna cover most of it, all of it, or do you have any idea?
So the insurance company, they did their initial inspections and they felt like they couldn't make a determination, so they've called in an engineer to go up there and do some additional work to find out exactly what the cause, whether it was hail damage or wind damage. So that's where we're at the moment. We did have an estimate that roof was supposed to be good for I think it was 17 to 20 years, and we're right at probably the 17-year mark. So we're just waiting on the insurance company's evaluation to see exactly where we're at. So it could be anywhere from $20,000 up.
Any other comments, questions? Okay. Action items. Dr. Anderson, I think you're up again. Board approval of and ratification of district contracts.
Yes, at this time, I would ask the board to I'd call their attention to Exhibit 1 and 2 there. If you can see, it's time for insurance renewal proposals. All of our insurances went up, just about all of it. And we're right now we got our, and this has nothing to do with the contract, but we got our health insurance premiums back, and so they're back out shopping those as well. You know, we've been with Blue Cross for a long time, and so Epic is out shopping those as well. But this is most of our property and casualties and insurance there, the contract, and so I call your attention to that contract for $282,618.85. Do you have it down there, Jennifer? Are there any questions about the renewal, the insurance renewal? And that's all for property and casualty insurance. Okay. Questions about that, the board? Okay. All right, then, if not, our excuse me, our second contract that we have is going to be our consulting agreement for Ms. Armendariz, who you met today with Voluntex, Voluntex, and this is an agreement. The amount is for $22,000, and that includes the following. If you'll scroll down to the price breakdown. Must be back up at the top then. Let me see. Okay, yes, right there. Thank you. Keep going right there. This is the scope of work. As you can see, for her formation of the nonprofit, $9,850, and then for the consulting and helping us with the board members doing the trainings, creating the foundation budget and development of that. Also helping us raise funds for the foundation as well, is what she would do, and be serving an advisory role. And so we would pay $5,000 to commence the services, and then $2,000 each month until the foundation is established and set up. I can assure you that this was way more than we were going to get from Ms. Porter. So this is, to me, I think, is a win-win deal. The fact that she's going to help us find board members. She has a board member matrix, and she's going to help us raise money in the initial year as well, which is huge. Because the goal, just so the board will know, the goal is that the foundation has to raise money, enough money so that it can hire a director of the foundation. Because there has to be an executive director of the foundation that would be the one responsible for hosting the fundraisers and all of those things. And so, as I shared with Ms. Armendariz, the goal is to get enough coming into the foundation that it can afford to pay an executive director of its own, to, because that's not supposed to be a part of RMA. It's supposed to be a branch off of RMA that supports RMA. So our board and the superintendent, it's not our responsibility to run that foundation. Are there any questions about this foundation contract?
Yeah, I have a question, Dr. Anderson. Is there a break, as far as the nonprofit formation costs, is there a breakdown of the specifics of what that entails as far as filing for your tax exempt status and everything like that?
Carrie, you want to talk about that, but she would do, as far as the breakdown of costs. I know that you have to, you know, I don't know exactly what the paperwork cost is to file for all of those, but that would include all the filing fees and all of the work, you know, any cost associated with that. Carrie, is that what you understood?
Yeah, she went over the specifics with us verbally on everything that she would be taking care of as far as the formation federally and with all state entities for our 501 or 503c for the Education Foundation. But we could get that from her in writing if we need to.
The breakdown, you're asking the breakdown cost, correct?
Yeah, for the formation. I'm looking at that cost and just want to look a little more into the breakdown of that 9,850.
Yes.
Yeah, you know, I'd also like to see that. I think that's a great question. I would raise my eyebrows a little bit with that. I personally do these and I charge a lot less than that, and I'm an attorney.
100%.
So just
100%.
saying. Yeah.
Okay, I'll reach out.
Well, but now let me say this too, out of fairness to Ms. Armendariz. That's not just the formation of filing it. That's also the work that's put into the structure of it as well. Again, that goes into, because you got to remember the consulting piece really, and that's what Ms. Porter was going to do. Ms. Porter was going to say, okay, here's what you need to do to fill out, because consulting technically would be, okay, here somebody in your organization needs to go fill out this paperwork. And once that's done, you all come back to me. And now, okay, somebody in your organization go find board members. So when we talk about the formation of it, we're not just talking about the filing of the paperwork, you know, and that's a lot of time. So, you know, I mean, you know, one, to fill out the paperwork takes time. So no one's going to do it and say, here, oh, I'm going to do it just at the cost of filing the document. So you got to remember, it simply says, so the formation is the board members creating the documents and doing the interviews for the board members, filing the paperwork. You know, she's going to also, what is it, Carrie, create a website just for the foundation. Is that correct?
Yes, she is. And she's also going to do all the training for the board members and go through and develop the budget. And so it's really a year's worth of work on forming the foundation and the actual education foundation piece.
So she's going to build it. Now the consulting piece comes in where now she's doing the fundraising for us. She's going to do a golf tournament for us. That's where the consulting piece comes in. She's going to serve as an advisor. She's going to, you know, so those are two different pieces. And, you know, and I can assure you that, like say, Ms. Porter was going to charge us, what was it, Carrie, 12 grand? Just to, basically, we would do all the work and she was going to be the advisor, so to speak.
Right, but it was 25,000 for the year. Ms. Porter said 25 for the year. We paid 12,000 up front. And it was, I don't even think it was a full year. I think it was more along the lines of 10 months.
Yeah. So it's not just filing the paperwork. It may only cost $500 to file the paperwork. You know, I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is that because one, we don't have the time in central office to do this at all. I mean, we don't have the resources, you know, we don't have the skill set. you know, so that's really when she talks about the formation, she's going to create this foundation, and basically it'll be structured from, you know, top to bottom. It'll have board members, it'll have events already starting to take shape. So I think that when we look at that piece, now the consulting piece is really the part where, you know, she advises, she does the interviewing of the board members and things of that nature. So I think we can't just look at it as what it would cost to file the paperwork. Now, if one of the board members want to file the paperwork, maybe I can go back and say, hey, can you take something off? You know, we got some people that's willing to file the paperwork for us. That may save us $1,000.
Okay, yeah, that's all I wanted to know. If we can look at that and get that in writing, it'd be fantastic.
Gary, will you reach
Hi,
out, Ms. Armendariz?
Dr. Anderson.
I was just asking Carrie if she would reach out to Ms. Armendariz to get that in writing.
Absolutely. I'll send her an email right now.
Yeah. Yes.
Yes.
Dr. Anderson.
And
Yes.
let me just say, Dr. Anderson, I appreciate that clarification, and I think that does explain a little bit of what that initial cost would be. And you know, in my opinion, I think we could still accept this contract without, you know, and then review what all it details later, you know, once we receive it, in my opinion.
Or do you, or if we need to, I'm sure Ms. Pearson, we can get Ms. Armendariz back on, correct? I'm sure she's available. Did you all want me to bring her back in?
I'd rather not.
Okay. Other questions?
Dr. Anderson,
Yes.
whenever you start, you sound like you're in a well, and then after you say a few words, you like you climb out. So there, now you're clear. I was going to say that our board retreat that we're going to have next in September, you might start building that agenda by putting something on there. This isn't anything for today, but for at least me to understand a little bit better our relationship with the non-for-profit board that's going to be doing this, what our responsibilities are with that, and what we don't have responsibility for, and sort of what that relationship is going to be, and how, as time goes on, other charters have several not-for-profits, and how the not-for-profits interface with each other, and what our responsibility as the not-for-profit managing the charter school is in relation to the others. So
Yeah, as far as right now, from what I understand, as our board responsibility is just to be able to recommend, and I think that's where the urgency is in trying to recommend 3 board members. I recommend that we reach out to Ms. Hannah, who recently retired, and seeing if she would be interested in being part, just because she's already, I mean, she knows RMA, loves RMA, and kind of get her to kind of be part of that would be interesting to see if she would be interested in. And then it would just be two other board members that we had to get going to get this the registration on and start working towards getting grants and you know, the rest of the events rolled out as well.
Yeah. And that's the other thing, she's going to apply for grants for us. So she's going to write those grants, and that in itself is very, very, very expensive to have to pay a grant writer.
And then her relationships are pretty, I mean, she has really good relationships. She's so she takes care, just kind of giving you a background of the piece of caring for HEB here in Corpus Christi. She also takes care of Crawfish for a Cause, and she's she's cleaned up Salvation Army and making sure that their events are kind of streamlined, and making sure that they're getting the right sponsors in place as well. So I really do entrust Ms. Armendariz in trying to get this. I wouldn't, I mean, I think this is something that's important, but more than anything, I want to make sure that we have funds available ultimately sooner than later. The 2026 outline seems a little far for me. I would like to see this happening within the year, basically. And getting scholarships and having a fund, an emergency fund for our teachers as well. Those are the things that are kind of, for me, that are really, really important on top of everything else that we may need to fund our students in our schools and our classrooms with as well.
And Ms. Pearson, just to clarify, 2026, if you look at the strategic plan, it's broken up how much money the foundation will raise by 2026. So the goal is to get it established, because this coming year, I think the goal was 50,000 for the foundation to raise. But we've already had conversations, and Carrie, you correct me if I'm wrong, because I don't want to mislead, but we're already looking at, I made it very clear that we want to have a golf tournament for a fundraiser. And as soon as we get this set up, Ms. Armendariz assured me that she was going to make that happen for us as quickly as, but it's all dependent on how soon we get this, we're able to move forward and get it set up. So, is that correct, Carrie? Didn't we talk about that?
Yes, and she's actually working on things. She sent us the board member matrix for the Education Foundation Board, and she's working on an alumni piece. So, and she has talked about the golf tournament and a few other ideas for fundraising.
I'll give you an idea of what I charge for event planning. I charge about $12,000 and $15,000 just to market. Just kind of putting it out there with the cost of just putting one event together.
Dr. what do you just have these two contracts for approval today? Do you have
Yes,
any?
for approval, and then I will go to the ratifications if.
Okay.
And then we just have the one contract for ratification, which is Power Schools. Power Schools is what we do, how we maintain our employee records and task and things of that nature. And the total cost of that this year is $17,682. But it is our applicant tracking piece. So when someone applies through our website, this helps us, and it sends out the emails telling them that, you know, their application's been received, or if there's a task for them to do in order to facilitate the application process. It does all of that, and it also comes with a not so great, but they're supposed to be working on making it better, school spring job board. And so this is a crucial part of our organization. And so for HR and employee, connectivity, if you will. So I'm asking the board to ratify that, as we did have to go ahead and get that taken care of.
Is this going to be the first year with Power School?
Oh, no. We've used them for years. Christina, is Christina on?
I am.
Yes.
They've been using Power School since before I started.
Okay.
And I started in the 18-19 school year.
Okay. So this is just a renewal. Okay. We have three contracts to approve. Do we have a motion?
Donald Dimick, I move the board approve the contracts as listed in Exhibit 1 and ratify the contracts listed in Exhibit number 2.
We have a second.
Rose Thompson, second.
We have a motion, a second, that we approve the contracts as presented. Ms. Dimick?
Yes.
Ms. Pearson?
Ms. Pearson, yeah.
Ms. Thompson?
Yes.
Mr. Ballard?
Yes.
Robert Clemens, yes. Motion carries unanimously. Next item on the action agenda, Carl, Amarillo Campus Construction Project. Carl?
I'm sorry, I was just talking away here. So the administration is requesting that the board consider the proposed renovation of real property and all improvements thereto, being at the address of 2400 Southeast 27th Avenue, Amarillo, Texas. 79103. And what we're asking the board is to complete our financing with Frost Bank. They're requesting a resolution that just states that we're going to combine the purchase building that we purchased in September of this past year with the construction loan, which we approved last week for 3.5 million. So this will be the combination of the two. This will be a 1-year note, so that at the end of this note, we will roll, I guess, both this project and the Fort Worth project into a tax exempt bond. But to get the construction started, Frost is asking for a resolution to combine both the purchase and the construction costs into one temporary loan until such time as we roll into the tax exempt loan. And so we have a proposed motion there, and we would ask that the board approve that resolution. So any questions about the resolution or any of the details thereof?
Don't have any questions or comments? I'd entertain a motion.
Donald Nimick, I move that the board approve the proposed resolution of the Board of Directors of the Richard Milburn Academy, Texas, Inc., improving loans to finance educational facilities and the execution and delivery of certain documents related thereto, and containing other matters related thereto for construction, renovations, demolition work at the Amarillo campus located at West 2400 Southeast 27th Avenue, Amarillo, Texas, as presented by the administration, which includes but is not limited to the delegation of authority to finalize and execute loan documents and other documents to finalize the loan for this project and other authority as set out in the resolution.
Do we have a second?
Rose Pearson, second.
Ms. Thompson, second. Is that correct?
I think it was Mirza, but Mirza said second.
Okay, Ms. Pearson, second.
Yes.
Vote, Mr. Nimick.
I vote yes.
Ms. Pearson,
Yes.
Ms. Thompson,
Yes.
Mr. Bound,
Yes.
Robert Clemens votes yes. Motion carries as presented. Closed session we have dealt with. Open session. Any other items that I've overlooked today? Do we have any public comments at the end of the meeting? Looked like we had one at the first of the meeting that we didn't know about, but that's okay.
No public comments at the end of the meeting, sir.
Upcoming events, principals, counselors, I think we've been through all of these. Any other comments, questions?
Leave that up so I can screenshot it.
I'm sorry?
I just said leave that up so I can do a screenshot.
Okay.
Just 1 second.
I believe our decision on the board retreat was going to be that we were going to, everybody was busy and tied up in August, so we were going to have that in conjunction with the September 27th meeting in Fort Worth. We were going to have it on Thursday all day, and as long as we need to cover whatever we have on our agenda. And So that's the next time that we'll get together as a group. No other comments? Meeting is adjourned. I'll see y'all next month.
Right. Thank you all. Have a good weekend. Good weekend.
Thank you.
Have a good day. Bye-bye.